BassResinator here. My wife does knitting, and she was doing some hats, and she made the ball to go on top, but I was doing it late at night, and I didn't tie it tight enough, so these things just slide right out. Well, I won't pull that one out. Somewhere I've got one over here hooked onto that. Anyway, they just pull out real easily. I didn't want to do that very many times because then I won't have any left. And she goes, so what do I do with it? You think you can put resin in there to hold it? And I'm like, it's gonna be it'll make it really hard in the center, and if somebody comes up and bonks somebody on the head, it's not gonna feel good at all. And I said, I could use it in resin. She goes, what? And she goes, well, I can't do much with it anyway because it's just little pieces like this now, except for what she tied it with. So I've got some deep pour resin. I have a little bit of Bondcrafter deep pour left over, so I'm gonna I want to see what it'll do in a sphere. I've got this 4-inch sphere. I just cram it down in there now. I've got the resin out in the vacuum chamber, and that fills up that sphere completely. Now when it gets wet with the I should just stick that in there too. With the resin, I'm sure it's going to go down some. However, I think that's going to trap a multitudinous amount of bubbles. So what I want to do is pour resin right on top of it, let it soak down in, and then take this sphere, when it's about this full, out into the vacuum chamber again, let it bubble it up, and then hopefully release all the bubbles that are in there, because I do not have a pressure pot which would work to get the bubbles out. So I'm going to try and do it with the vacuum chamber. Worst thing that can happen is I use 16 ounces of resin and I lose some yarn that wasn't going to be good for much of anything anyway. So let me go get that resin. Okay, now don't worry. You're going to say, oh, he's using blue resin. No, that was what I mixed in here before, and I just reusing the mixing gigantic cup. Just what I expected. It's going down, sinking with the as it gets wet. Oh, now it's turning over. Hey, 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 hey. No turning over. It's looks like it's about half full now. This is fascinating. See if I can squish this down into that resin. That's why it was turning over, because some of it hadn't gotten wet with the resin. It hadn't soaked it up. Okay, so squeeze, 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 squeeze. Boy, that made a lot more bubbles. I don't know if you can see down in there. Goodness, there's a ton of bubbles now. But that's why I want to go put it out in vacuum chamber. And looks like I got just a couple ounces left. I may have not measured that. I thought it would just hold 16 ounces. I could probably pour all of this in. Yep. I don't think that's going to bubble out because this is very thin resin, being the deep pour. It's just as thin as water. Okay, so what I need to do is put this out in the vacuum chamber. Let me squirt a little bit of alcohol on my gloves. Okay, now when it comes time to curing this, I'll mix up another little bit, probably another 4 ounces, and I will pull this up so that there's room for it, because right now I squished it all the way down to the bottom. Okay, let me go put this in the vacuum chamber. Now that resin was bubble free. It's definitely not bubble free now, but hopefully it'll suck all that up. Look at it coming up through the bottom part, just pulling it up out of those fibers of that yarn. It's so fascinating. I think I'm just going to leave it in here for a while. Doesn't look like it's going to bubble over. I say that, and right when I say that, now all of a sudden I need to possibly release some air. Let it back down. If you don't stay on top of stuff like that, boy, you'll get a super mess. And even though there's a little bit of a silicone mat down the bottom, you can see over there where some spilled out, and I didn't get to it early enough. I didn't realize it had spilled over. Anyway, I think what I'm going to do is I'm just going to let this go for a while, and I'm not going to mix up any more resin. I'll just add another layer to the back after it's all cured. Okay, we'll see you later. It's cured. I don't know if you can see down in there, and some resin got on this. I had this being held up over a little racks to keep this from going down in there. My wife said, it looks like a bomb. It's not a bomb. Okay. Let's, I don't know if I need scissors or if I should just use this to try and trim that off since it's got resin on it. It worked. It worked without using scissors. Okay, man, there were a ton of bubbles. Now, I don't know what's going to go on here. It looks like this mold lost integrity, and it may have a lump on this finished piece. I hope not, but we'll see. I'm thinking, instead of taking this out to the kitchen, I've got some soap in a spray bottle. If I could spend time in a bottle, nothing that I'd rather do. Didn't spend them with you, but there never seems to be enough time to do the things I wanna do. I hope I got all those bubbles out. It's pretty clear, but it's a dark yarn, so we have no idea what it's gonna look like. Okay, see if I can get this to roll out the sphere up against the belly, and it's got a lump just like I did another one in this thing, and this mold is just can't support the weight. Wow, it's not as bad as the other one, but it does have a definite funky shape to it. I need to put a message on here: do not use unless you want lumpy. So that I'll remember, just because it's the large one does not mean it's good. Well, it's not staying on there. Faulty. One way I could do it is just chunk it in the trash and not worry about it anymore. Okay. Now, got that soap. Okay, let me go. I'm going to take this to the sink and rinse it all off, and I'll be right back. Well, I rinsed it off, but it still wasn't clean enough for me, so I got out some polishing compound, and that got it. There was a couple bubbles right there on the side. Bummer. Anyway, what I thought, since it's so dark, let me I have this light. See what happens with that underneath it, huh? What do you think's gonna happen? It's still so dark, you can't see through it. I say that. Let me turn off lights. Man, it's not just one color. Well, let me bring you down. Wait till it goes a lighter color. There's that one strand that I stuck on there late. There we go. Oh, then it went to red real fast. Why didn't it say white? Close. Okay, well, it helps if you have a good mold, and it helps if the yarn is not so dark. It wasn't that dark, but when it got wet, it really darkened up. Well, experiment. It's kind of cool looking, definitely unique. If you are a subscriber, thank you for subscribing. If you are not, it's very simple to become one. Just go down to the bottom of this screen and click subscribe. And while you're there, click the little icon of the bell, and that will let you know anytime I do something new. This channel does have membership available, so if you are interested in supporting the channel that way, click the button that says join. Yeah, that way you'll be able to see all of my stuff. This is definitely, it's in better shape than it would have been, because it would have been all like that, pieces hanging right there. that was loose, they would all be loose like that. But I am so glad I had that vacuum chamber. Oh my word, were there bubbles. And it bubbled and bubbled and bubbled. I left it in there 30 minutes and then let the air out, and it was clear. I mean, you can see there's no bubbles in there, which is nice. But if you're going to do something like this with yarn or some type of cloth, figure out some way to get those bubbles released. If you've got a vacuum chamber or a bubble-free machine or something like that, or pressure pot, that's the way to do it. So if you don't have that, you just be prepared to be kind of disappointed with the bubbles. Now this did have bubbles around the bottom. Can't see them right there. I wonder where they are. What is that? Some kind of fur. Right there. You can't see them very well. There's little micro bubbles. When I finished pouring in a little bit more afterwards, I didn't put it through the bubble free, and that shame upon my head, because it could have been completely bubble free. Anyway, this was a fun experiment. Hope you liked it. We'll see you for the next one.